There's plenty of challenges in the fire service today, from funding to maintenance to mission creep. But to me, it boils down to one main challenge, which is staffing and people. And for years and years and decades, we've relied on the calling of the fire service, the desire to serve the community, all these things that we were founded on that they kind of seem to be eroding a little bit in society. And so it's very difficult for us to continue how we've done it forever. And sometimes we have a big problem adapting. You look at the volunteer side, people don't have free time like they used to. They don't usually work, where they live as much anymore. And you put the mission creep on it and the ever expanding training requirements, and it's a lot to ask somebody to volunteer anymore. And I don't think people appreciate just what that sacrifice looks like for them. And then when we get on the career side of things, we bend over backwards to entice people to come into our organizations through benefits, through pay, whatever it might be. But then we kind of turn a blind eye to the people that already are in our organizations. And we get things like salary compression. We have people promoting faster than they ever had before, and maybe without the experience. So for those people leading our organizations today, there's a real difficult set of circumstances involved with staffing, and sometimes just what it takes to keep our rigs going down the road and trained, competent people inside of them is the real battle. So while I would love to tell you that my session has the smoking gun to solve your staffing problems, unfortunately it does not. The hat dance addresses the staffing problems by looking at how do we evolve from the traditional professional development model for the company officer, which was separation, division. It was overseeing the crew versus many times being a part of it. And the way things are today, when we have one, two, three people on the rig, for better or worse, the company officer has to be hands-on now. They almost have to be task saturated to accomplish the mission. We can't just go to the call and tell the citizens, no, I'm sorry, we needed X number of people to accomplish this and Y showed up. So we're just going to head out. We have to figure out ways to overcome that. And what we really focus on in the hat dance is the preparation side of things, of looking at what is the reality of staffing, not what we hope is going to show up or might show up, but what can we really honestly expect to show up personnel wise, and then work backwards from there. How are our rigs laid out to help us maximize our efficiency? What equipment are we using? How are we drilling and training, with the resources that we will have when these calls happen? And then how do we overcome, where maybe 3 or 4 people would be the best practice and we only have 2? How can we overcome that? How do we throw ladders by ourselves? How do we do our hose layouts to, minimize the need for people to advance that line? And I think until we figure out how to get this staffing back on track, if that ever comes, that this is the way that it has to be. So, my session is aimed at being honest about what most of us have day in and day out, and how we can maximize those resources to hit the benchmarks we need to hit, and hopefully still have a lot of success on these calls we run, even though we don't have, the manpower that we should to accomplish that. You wouldn't want to miss the hat dance, because it really does have something for everybody. And although it is aimed at company and acting officers who routinely operate with limited staffing, the course focuses on how we can best maximize the resources at our disposal. So regardless of your role within the organization, you're going to learn ways to make things more efficient. When we operate more efficiently, it just leads to better outcomes for our personnel and our citizens.